All right, every Tuesday about now is when we are joined by Dr. John Braccio, Regional Psychological Services. We get a little free self-help. Dr. Braccio, I am not overthinking it. I think I'm gonna see. I'm trying to weave that in. It just we do overthink sometimes, though, and that can slow us down, can it? Hi, good morning.
Good morning to you, and Mike, that is really true. You know, it's difficult enough making good decisions in life, even with the best of information available. The dilemma of overthinking is that one is constantly living with problems in decision-making, whether they are past decisions or those we're going to make in the present and future decisions that will need to be made. A further problem is they tend to be negative. This can result in such mental health conditions as anxiety, depression, PTSD, OCD, and panic attacks. This is not to say that everyone has all these conditions, Mike, but they are often present with persons who have problems making decisions or looking at what they have done or the possible consequences of decisions in the present or future. Add on top of this that persons who overthink often tend to be negatively evaluating the whole process of decision-making to the point that they end up with mental health issues. This trend to see decision-making in a negative light often leads to an inability to make decisions, which, of course, then brings on the mental health issues. This endless loop on decision-making can be overwhelming to persons. Let us make sure we're not, confusing doing the groundwork necessary to make good decisions, but rather overthinking decisions in a way that they are never made or will simply be reviewed negatively from the past. I might add, Mike, as a longtime psychologist, this is a more common problem than one might think. It also is true that most of us, if we honestly look at ourselves or analyze persons we know in family or outside of it, we can see overthinking is often present. The following are some remedies to deal with the problem of overthinking if you have, and if you do, it's really a hard thing to deal with. Accept decisions you have made in the past and let them go. You did them and they're done. You cannot, could have, might have, ought to have, or should have done anything differently than you did. And you need to realistically look at the options one has, make a decision, and live with it. Except you may have made bad decisions and may continue to make them. The point is to try to make good decisions and learn from any bad decisions we've made. Then replacing negative thoughts with positive thoughts when dealing with the inability to make decisions. When a thought comes into your mind that you cannot make a decision, you need to tell yourself, rubbish. Yes, you can make a good decision based on the best information available to you. This is obviously easier said than done, but needs to be worked on a bit all the time. Now, if you find you can't solve this problem of not being able to make a decision that's causing you mental health distress, well, now is the time to seek out an experienced therapist who can help you overcome this problem. So overall, Mike, if you have this dilemma of not being able to make decisions, it can be torturous. It can be really a difficult situation. And reliving, it's amazing to me how many people that I talk to just on the road of life that say, I wish I had done this, and I don't know why I did this, and I'm not sure if I do this, this might happen, but then this also might happen if I don't do that. You could almost get dizzy listening to some people, as they're looking at life and just examining and analyzing. And, in life, kind of like the look who hesitates is lost. I mean, you have to move forward. You have to try to make decisions. Not all of them are going to be good. Not everyone's going to work out. But if you use all the data that you have available and you, based on that, make decisions, you've got a good chance of being successful and, just not being overwhelmed with life, which a lot of people are that are overthinking all the time, overanalyzing things and become really just can't function effectively. Yeah. I'm sure you know people like this also.
Oh, please, me. The coulda, shoulda, wouldas. You got to fight that. The coulda, shoulda, wouldas. Here's a prime example. I'll give you an example, as Hondo would say. On Fridays, I always end the show with something called Groovy News, all right? Well, by the end of the week, I'll have stories that I haven't used, and I'll pull something from them, and then we get some new ones as well. Generally, there's 5, 6, 7 stories hanging around. What one do I tell the folks? This is the last thing they're going to hear until the weekend. I want them to have a cool story here. And you know how I deal with it? We started throwing a dart. I put them all up on the wall. I let the dart decide. I just throw a dart. Whatever it hits or comes closest to, bing. That's the one we do, and we live with it. No more coulda, shoulda, wouldas on the groovy news. See, this is what we need to just put all your decisions on a dartboard, the options, and just throw a dart.
Well, listen, I must say, in your case, that works fine. And I think you have a number of, good choices. You just can't decide which one. So do it this way. Good. I guess in life, we try to find ways that we can solve this dilemma, this problem in terms of overthinking. And I think that's a good one. Yeah, maybe we ought to get into the world of, if you have a dilemma of overthinking, get a dartboard. Maybe that's a good idea, Mike. How does that
You need
sound?
to have that at your office, a great big dartboard, and just start using it with, like people come seeking help. Well, I don't know. Let's throw a dart, see where it lands.
Well, I do. Well, see, a key thing really is when you make a decision, you've made it. If you take a job, if you move, if you decide to paint your house a certain way, if you do things, you've done it, and that's it. Like you say, you can't go to should and might oughta. You can't do any of that type of thing. You can just move forward, and you can make a new decision. You can move forward, but this paralysis that leads people to just, even going into a restaurant. Have you ever been in a restaurant with somebody who can't make a decision on what to eat? They always eat chicken. There's 2-3 chicken choices, and there they are, and they cannot seem to make a decision. You feel like take it and say, look, eat this one here. Just roll the dice, do something. But if you have this paralysis, this inability, and reliving things, and you can't decide if what you did in the past was a good decision, what you do now, it can lead to really anxiety. It can lead to depression.
Oh,
it can
please.
lead to a lot of mental health conditions. It can really wear you down.
Don't beat yourself up.
No.
Do like I do and blame someone else for your poor decisions. That's what I do.
Well, listen. Well, that'll won't help you making friends. Okay, but on the other hand, now we lead to a new dilemma. How does that sound?
Oh, it's always something.
Friends. Well, that's part of life. It's the beauty of life too. The excitement of life. But there's always things coming up that you can't always predict. You just try to move forward, make decisions. But again, making decisions based on the best data you have, doing it, and then not reliving it. You may make another decision based on the future, but there are people they're paralyzed. They can't function. They're just upset. And this anxiety and this with them can go to depression, can go to PTSD. People just worrying about all these things. Oh my goodness, life is too short.
Well,
you live it through it one time.
I will say sometimes if you make what you think is a bad decision, if you sit down and analyze the results, sometimes you'll find a different opportunity in those results, and you can move in a different path, and you weren't even thinking of it. That happens sometimes.
That is true also. The main thing is you've got to live with the decision you made, and then from it, you can look at making forward. And what life is one series of decisions every day. You start
That's
off
right.
with, are you going to have coffee? What are you going to eat? Where are you going to go? How are you going to get there? Oh, listen, if you look at it as kind of a fun road, an exciting type thing, you try to make good decisions. You're not always going to make the best decision. You learn from that. You move forward. Life can be exciting and interesting and certainly better than not making decisions, because that'll really wear you down. Oh, my goodness, you don't want that, Mike. We've known a lot of people, whether in my work or just road of life, that just are paralyzed. Hey, you just move on. How does that sound?
He is Dr. John Braccio. It sounds great, and I always love our chats. Regional Psychological Services. Doc, we'll do it again next Tuesday. How about that?
Sounds good, buddy. Have a good week, okay?
You too. All right, thanks. Bye. 1320 WILS. What we learned today, throw a dart at all your options. Whatever the dart lands on, just like Groovy News, that's the one you live with. And if it turns out to be a bad decision, blame someone else. There we go. No, that's not. No? Oh, okay. Overthinking. You gotta be careful with it. 1320 WILS. I think We will talk with Ryan Schmelz. 1 week until Election Day. Everyone's talking about, of course, you hear about the presidential election. What about our congressional elections, the balance of power? Will the Senate flip, et cetera, et cetera? Ryan Schmelz, we'll talk with him next. And then the slow living movement. The heck is that? Larissa Harrington on that. 1320 WILS, Mike Austin, back in a minute.